Happy Tuesday, 10 at 10. I am your host, Richard Charpentier, the owner of Baking Innovation. And every Tuesday, we get questions that are sent to Bakerpedia, and we have 10 minutes to answer your questions. So today, let's get started. We have our first question coming, which says, what enzyme raises the P level in an alveograph? So for those who do not know, alveograph is an analytical tool made by Chopin, a French company, and it has different curves, and the P is the curve that goes up and measures quality for bread, for to make biscuits, to make different products. So each curve is associated with basically a type of bread that you can do. And the P is the first curve that goes up like that and down, and later on it's just that length. So usually the P is a reference to the elasticity of a product, and some products deserve or need a longer, more elasticity within the bread. So to answer your question in order of what basically enzymes specifically. So we'll touch very briefly because we're talking about enzymes. It's a big subject. And if you want to know more, Dr. Lynn, as Dr. Lynn has done a lot of segments on enzymes and best enzyme for the bakery industry because they all have different functionality. Not knowing your formulation, not knowing what product it is for, I can't really answer which one will specifically give you more of a P. It has to do something with protein. I do apologize, and it's a very specific question to be which one, because each manufacturers have their own basically set of enzyme. You could get an amylase from one vendor and another amylase from another vendor, and they have differences. So something that maybe with a group or we follow back up, but right there, what raises exactly the P cannot basically answer your question. So, but good question. Thank you very much. Next question. In regards to eggs in a chocolate chip cookie, normally I use 2 whole eggs. Would using 1 egg and 1 yolk extend the shelf life of a packaged cookie? No. To be quite, no, it's not gonna. The yolk in baking is seen as a tenderizer. You're thinking, hey, if I put more of a tenderizer versus the toughener or the egg white, what kind of cookie would I be able to extend the shelf life of my cookies by doing so? And the reason why I'm saying no is because of cookies, they contain a lot of sugar, and it might soften a little bit. And because a cookie, when it's set, it sets because the sugar sets after it's baked. So in order to extend the shelf life, you're going to have to basically play with hydrocolloids and different gums and things that you could do with different sugars to keep that moistness, because it's the sugar crystallizing that will make it tougher. The sugar will get dry, crystallizes. The cookie will become drier, and therefore, that's why it gives you like a drier cookie. In order to counter that, I've done in the past, I've played with glycerin, I've played with different sugar, but the egg yolk will not give you more shelf life. It will change your texture and give you a different flavor and different richness. And then depending on whether or not you're using emulsifiers for your cookies, not knowing exactly your exact formula, but in short, no, it will not extend the shelf life. A good question. Next question. What do you think in case we replace cerevisiae by saccharomyces? It's basically the yeast. I can't pronounce the Latin name. It's basically the question is asking, see, the regular Latin name for yeast, beer and bread yeast can be replaced with another one, which is called boulardii, CNCM I-745. I looked it up. It's online. It's basically a, even though it's in the same family, it's a considered, it's not for making bread or beers, it's considered a medicine used to treat diarrhea and everything else. So they'll keep it as that. My question to you is, why the need to use this yeast versus the other yeast? Literature online doesn't indicate that this is one that is used for that. And since it's one that is very specific to treat certain illness, the price might get higher. So I don't see a need to go that route. You're not going to get a different bread because yeast being yeast, I would just, yeast is in the air. So being a different strain, you're not going to get any other benefits other than, maybe medical benefits. So, but good question. I had never heard of it. And I will go read a little more about it. Well, our last question is about how does a water roux effectiveness play into the shelf life and crumb softness qualities scientifically? Soft white bread, Pullman style is the prime preferred type here. So just for those who do not know, water roux is basically taking some amount of flour and putting some hot boiling water on top of it. So by doing so, you're allowing to basically pre-hydrate the starches within whatever you're making as a roux, which the roux comes from, the French term of making a roux for any bechamel, a sauce. It's a base to basically cook up some starches with butter. Here in this instant, we're doing it with water. So by doing so, you will allow for shelf life because by pre-hydrating at a certain temperature, certain starches or gums, as people would make slurry to extend the shelf life. Because the key is once you're mixing or you're making something, you have to hydrate all of the ingredients properly and then after allow for the starches to swell within the baking process. As here, you're basically doing it prior and then you're adding that type of roux or slurry back into your dough and you're mixing. And by doing so, you're basically being able to hold water a little better, a little longer. So, which is why people use it for shelf life extension. But all right, so this is the last question. So I do appreciate it. Thank you for the new it's a new background. I'm traveling this week, but you have a great rest of your day. Thank you very much and happy Tuesday and happy baking. Take care. Thank you.